Welcome back to Afropolitan Canada's Black Mental Health series. In today's episode, Ryleigh and Micah discuss how universities and colleges can better support Black students' mental well-being. Let's get into it.
I would say constantly consulting Black student populations in particular is essential. Even if we look at certain measures implemented by post-secondary institutions, such as reading weeks, for example, like if we're being real, reading weeks really aren't a time for students to truly unwind and relax, because you're doing a massive amount of work before you go on reading week, during, and then you get slammed with exams when you come back. Like, teachers even know this, because there's been times where I've been preparing to go on reading week and teachers are saying like, hey, like, just to let you know, like, this is upcoming, so you might want to use like your reading week to like catch up on this, or like to do this. Like, I haven't had a teacher say like, go out and enjoy yourself, really invest in your self-care, go on that trip, see those friends that you haven't seen all term. Like, reading week really isn't what post-secondary institutions designed it to be. Like, this was implemented to address the massive amount of student suicides that were occurring for university students, and the pressures and the mental health decline of the overall student population. So to think that reading week was implemented with good intentions, it really hasn't held true to what it really is supposed to be. Like, this is a time where students are supposed to relax and enjoy, and they find themselves doing schoolwork the entire week, and it's just like a regular week in the academic term, and it really doesn't have any changes. So I find that really restructuring, reimagining, and then evolving the current interventions on behalf of post-secondary institutions on what is working, what have we implemented that we can change. Are we consulting Black student populations in particular and recognizing the ways in which they experience these academic pressures and mental stressors to a greater degree than their white counterparts? So it's important to look into these things and to reevaluate their current practices where necessary. This also includes implementing more supports during reading week. Like, why isn't that students aren't told like, hey, like, if you need to reach out to a counselor, like, now's your time to do it. Like, if you need like that support, like, it's available to you even during the reading week. But even now myself, I'm enrolled in the spring summer term studies, and we don't get a reading week. So to think that that's the bare minimum that was provided, and then you don't even get it during the spring and summer terms, like, guess what? University, like, students are still stressed during the summer and spring terms, and they often do want to enjoy themselves during the summer, and they can't. And now you're taking away that little opportunity that's like basically a Band-Aid solution to the greater scheme of student decline in mental health outcomes with a week. You get this week to do more work, but we're not gonna actually have classes for you to attend. So manage your time wisely, get your assignments done, and then come back and do more. So yeah, that's a bit from me.
Yeah, I think it really, like, I like the point about reading week, because I think what I was gonna say was that they need to take a look at what mental health initiatives that they have and the stuff that they are doing and evaluate it and say, okay, is this really working? Like, is it working at all? Because I think about hearing about stories about like the wellness center, which is where like the health center basically, and you can go there and you can seek mental health help or any other kind of health help. But if you want to see somebody regularly, you are probably looking at 3 to 4 weeks in between every appointment. And that is not enough for a lot of people. Some people are going to be needing once a week, maybe more. And so they have these resources available, but if you're not able to deliver it in a way that's actually meaningful for these people who really need it, then what's your point? What are you putting your money into? What are you advertising to the school? Because the more you advertise it, great, you have more students that are going to access it, but you don't have the ability to serve those students, because a student's going to go and they're going to say, okay, I'll see you in 6 weeks. And that's just not enough. And so taking a moment to really evaluate the initiatives that they're doing and the things that they think are so great about their school, and thinking, okay, let's take a minute and see how it's actually impacting the students, and see what an improvement it did, and how else we can improve it. The other thing that I would say specifically for their Black students is to start looking at different ethnicities within the school as different ethnicities rather than people of color or diversity initiatives. Because you look at certain things like the diversity initiatives that they are running, and you see that they're targeting way too big of a group with way too diverse needs, and they're not going to be able to do anything well for any of those groups if they don't focus. And so I think that universities should take a look at their demographics and start to target those demographics for what they need. And like you said, talk to those people, ask them what they need, ask them what it is that's going to make a difference in that community. Because if you talk to the students of color, that's not going to do it for the Black students, because if they're talking to some other ethnicities, they also don't have the Black experience. And so this blanket statement of diversity is not good enough. And it's what everybody keeps promoting, but it's not going to do the trick, and it's going to deteriorate pretty quickly because it's not being maintained, what they do have, and it's not being adapted for what the students really need.
Because think of it, like, universities know what their student demographics are. Like, they're reviewing them on a monthly, if not weekly basis. Like, they know the current student population, and when it comes to diversity, like, it was actually pretty funny to see like how many students before COVID had no diversity statement on their site. I know that's a very shallow attempt at diversity, but at the very least, like, there was no mention of diversity on any of these post-secondary institution sites. And thinking about it more deeply, like, these institutions now have been made to adapt to the current racial climate of society. They know that, okay, now we actually have to start caring about Black people, or they're gonna label us as racist. Knowing their previous practices and what they've done has been directly racist. They still do practices that are racist. Like, if we even look at the student populations, like, how many Black people versus white people are you gonna see on a student campus? Like, these are very real issues, and until the universities really get real about who it is that they're dealing with, and instead of using diversity as, hey, come and attend our institution, or, oh, like, we definitely care about our student populations, like, this is racial capitalism. Like, they're literally marketing and drawing economic value from the racial identity of students. And that is a very unethical thing to do. So until we get real about what it is that the institutions are actually doing and the ways in which they actually perpetuate harm, because lack of representation is racism. There's bias in the entrance exams even. Like, these universities know based off of your name where it is that you likely come from, unless your parents have given you a name that's often affiliated with someone who's of European descent. Even if they know your information, they know stuff about you. So it wouldn't be hard for them to say, hey, I know that so-and-so comes from a Black background, but where's the changes in the actual institution to say, let's actually adapt ourselves instead of making the students adapt to us? Because Black people have to adapt to how many things already? Like, that's all that our life really is adapting. Like, we're in a constant state of adaptation and survival, because if we weren't doing that, we wouldn't have survived. We wouldn't have achieved the levels and made the necessary changes and really fought for what we demanded for.
And I like putting the responsibility on them. I think that's big, because you're exactly right. Like, it shouldn't be our jobs. You're inviting us in. You're saying we're trying to
taking
increase
our money.
Diversity.
Like,
yeah, we're paying for this experience. We're paying for the resources that you're saying you're providing for us, but you're not really doing it for us. You're doing it for the title of being a diverse school.
Like, indebting your family or your own finances to attend this institution knowing that you're not even going to get what you need or require while you're there.
Yeah.
Like, you're literally getting scammed.
And I think the thing is that you keep saying is that we want to ask them to change. But it's just not that hard. Like, it's not that they have to change this whole, like the whole solution is going to be huge. It can be in little things that start to make a bigger difference. And I think that's what they're scared of, is that the Black community wants these institutions to change. It's not that we need to break the whole thing down and knock the buildings down and rebuild them. It's that we need to look at the issues and find the little things that we can make better, and then use those things to drive the bigger change, right? It's not that difficult. And people just view the diversity change as a difficult thing to achieve.
I would say to Black students to just know that there are Black exemplars and professionals and mental health workers who are trying their absolute hardest to decolonize the practice, to make the necessary changes that will include us, to make sure that our voices are heard. And I would say, if you're struggling with your mental health, I would say be the one who breaks the chain in your family lineage. Be that generational curse breaker. I know that it's a very hard, it's a very demanding, it's a very taxing role to take on, but if you really want to make that change today for both yourself, your family, and your lineage, like, now's the time to do it. Mental health is something that is very hidden. It's a hidden conversation in our communities. It's something that needs to be brought to the light, and that's only going to happen on both an individual and a collective effort. So until Black people are able to address the stigmas and begin to take a look beyond what it is that we've been socialized to believe about mental health, that, you know, Black people are only allowed to feel certain emotions, or, you know, mental health help is for white people. I ain't crazy, you know, like, making generalizations like that is not going to get the community anywhere, and it's not going to advance discussions or discourse surrounding mental health treatment and care. So I would propose that, and the last thing I would say is, if you're interested, enter into the field of mental health. Like, we are in such need of Black professionals who are competent in the area of mental health. Like, this is truly revolutionary for our communities, because, like, as of now, like, we're seeing some of the most profound statistics of Black graduate rates for Black women. We're seeing a lot of more Black men entering into the helping professions as well. Like, this is so incredibly needed. Like, we're truly changing the tides and the normalcy that used to exist, and we're truly recreating something new for Black communities. So I would propose that is definitely something that can address some of the stigmas and issues that we're currently facing in terms of mental health care.
Yeah. The one thing that I would say, if I could say anything to Black students, is that you need to do what feels uncomfortable. It's not going to feel natural to you to break the stigmas. It's not going to feel natural for you to break these patterns that you naturally fall into, but you have to do it in order to better yourself and to leave that legacy for the Black community. Whether it's going to university in the first place and getting through and graduating, you're breaking the pattern. And if it's going and seeking mental health help, you're breaking the pattern. And you doing that makes it easier for everybody else too. And once you get through that original breaking point, it makes it easier for you to do too. And so getting through what feels uncomfortable. It's not fair that it feels uncomfortable. It's really not fair that our hearts are pounding while we're walking into the therapy appointment, while any other person might just walk in and feel like, oh my gosh, finally. It's not fair, but it's important to get past that and move past it, because the other side is better. And it's not much better for you, it's better for everyone, every Black person around you. So breaking that stigma, breaking through what feels uncomfortable, it's what you're doing if you're already in school, and it's what you'll continue to do just being a Black person in today's society. But not being afraid of it and approaching it with pride is a really important thing to do for yourself and for the Black community as a whole.
Yeah, because even if you haven't had it modeled for you and you're listening to this, like, be the model. Like, please do. Like, please set the levels and please change the tides, and knowing that, like, you're able to affect that difference and that you're able to be that exemplar. Like, if you're looking for exemplars and you can't find them, like, be it for yourself, and then just know that you are going to leave that legacy for the Black community. So that's my final words on that.